Hello there, my name is David, also known as R. Chewbacca, and today we are going to talk about vintage non-Gillette razors. So most of my collection is Gillette, and I think that most collectors are probably in about the same boat because Gillette, well, made really good razors. Also, most of their razors, actually I think all of Gillette's razors except for one exception, still use the same type of blades that one can pick up at Amazon or all over the internet for like 100 blades for as little as $7 to $10 in some cases. So it's a great way to save money if you can hold yourself down to one razor. But if you're watching this, you are probably not the kind of person to do that. So I've got my little mat here and I've got my camera for some close-ups, and I will just kind of play with that footage as we go. So in no particular order, I guess we'll start with the elephant in the room, and that is the Rolls razor. The Rolls razor. And the Rolls razor, this is the one you're going to see this all the time at antique stores because it was big looking, it was expensive looking, and therefore no one ever threw it away. And I got a little price tag with mine that would have been right there, the razor that pays for itself. If you're a collector, you probably buy so many razors that you are not saving money, but it's fun to do. So this came with some instructions, which I was actually quite thankful for because I really didn't know how to use this. I read the instructions and then I watched a video from Razor Emporium or Matt Bosarczyk. Went through how to use this, and I will briefly do the same, show you how to use this. So, a little price list here. I would say one problem with these razors are because they're everywhere and no one threw them away, their value is a lot less than what you would think as far as money goes. There's too many of them out there. Most people don't like to actually use them. And if you look on eBay sold items, they will be selling for, a couple dollars really. I think I paid about 25 or 30 for mine, but it was very complete with a nice case and instructions and a very nice unbroken stone and whatnot. So you have a button on both sides, and the reason for that is when you open it, I open on this side, I have a leather strop, and if I were to use a mechanism right now, the blade would actually push into the sharpening stone. I don't want to do that because that actually takes material off. So I'm going to flip it, and we're going to take the stone out. As another thing to look for if you do want to buy one is a stone that's still nice and flat and not chipped, because that's usually the first thing that breaks on these. So I'm going to pull the handle out. I'm going to show you how this works. So you have this machine, it's got gears in it, and you can strap the razor safely without hurting yourself. Now, had I gone with the first door, instead of going against the strap, the blade would actually be going forward and then flipping and going across the stone to sharpen it. That you wouldn't do near as often, whereas the stropping you do pretty much every time you use it. So then this gently comes off, and even this one is extremely sharp. When you take this handle, just kind of slide it right there, and then carefully tighten this handle, get it centered. There we go. You just kind of pop that down a little bit, and you got a little bit of a guard. It's actually kind of press the skin and also kind of keep you from accidentally cutting yourself too deeply. And it's not bad. I mean, it's still pretty sharp. I just took out a lot of hair right there. It's still pretty sharp. I've shaved with it. And it's not the best shave, but for the novelty, it was a lot of fun. So I think I've used this at least 3 or 4 times. So then we'll put it back away and be very careful not to dig that spike into the leather. come back here. Okay. And just want to be careful not to cut yourself on it. Push that a little bit forward. And there you go. And this just goes in here. I'm going to open this up a little bit so I can fall into that crack a little easier. And then it all stores together. So while it's rather big for a travel razor, you can take it with you anywhere. And since you're sharpening it, it would last for a very long time. The replacement blades for that are actually a little bit harder to find and can be a little more valuable. But unfortunately the razors are just too easy to find to be terribly valuable. So let's talk about some of the cuter ladies razors that we have here. We have the QT, and this is kind of adorable, really. It's got tiny little blades that actually go inside the razor. And if you've ever seen Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest, there's a version of this razor in here where the main protagonist, I forget his name, I think it was, I don't remember. And he is in a train, and this is part of a toiletry kit. You can see a little blade in there. And there's a scene where he's shaving his face with this right next to a gentleman who's shaving with a large straight razor, who gives him a head shake look. It's like, what are you doing, man? So this looks like one of those things that was designed by men for women. I'm not sure how popular this was. It doesn't seem like it would be very convenient to shave with, but it is pretty cute. And if you can find one, yeah, they shouldn't be very expensive, and especially if you find it with the blades. This is the Curve Fit razor. Okay. And this one, it's like a big overarching curve. The blades go in there. Now, again, this is another one that, you know, generally doesn't go for too much. So if you do find one for your collection, make sure you have your instructions and a little bag and some extra blades, stuff like that. If you're going to have it, you want to have it to be relatively nice. So I'm actually going to open the box here, whichever one's the most open, and show you what the actual blade looks like. It's going to be pretty nasty and rusted out, but I don't ever plan to actually use it, so there we go. Now, you want to be careful when you're messing with these, because even though it's old, even though it's rusty, it's still going to be pretty sharp. So that's what these blades look like. I guess you would put it in there carefully and try and close it down on there, and it would bend it into that curved shape. So it's possible that might have made it a little bit easier to shave underarms. I'm not sure. Can't imagine trying to shave your legs with something like that, but this is when razors first really started marketing towards women. Okay. And again, they're trying to compete with Gillette, so they're just adding all of these new ideas, new maybe gimmicks. Speaking of gimmicks, you can find a lot of unknown razor brands. This, I thought it was kind of funny. It kind of looks like a pack of Lucky Strike cigarettes, and the head itself would fit a normal razor, but you can see this thing is so cheap. It's just a piece of metal bent at the edges. It's the same thickness all throughout, and so this probably would not hold a razor very steadily. And you know, I didn't have the desire to ever actually use this one. but still pretty fun to have. Okay. This is, let's see here. I'm going to talk about these really quick because I'm going to bring them up again during the military razors, but since we're bringing up non-gillettes, we'll talk about this. This is an injector razor, and that is kind of a cool design. The way it works is you actually put the injector in the razor, and then you push this plunger forward and it shoots a blade into there. Pretty cool. I always kind of like them. These are the military versions. This is the Army and the Navy sets. Navy sets a little bit harder to find. But again, I'm going to go over these in more detail during the military ones. Okay. This is one of my oldest non-gillettes. This has a little blade still in there, some instructions, and this would have been from around 1909, 1910, somewhere around there. And again, that's also has a blade that's somewhat unique to it. And really, the blades are what it's all about. You know, Gillette and other razor makers would sell razors pretty much at cost because they want you to buy the blades. And so the more the blade was unique to the razor, the more likely you would be to buy theirs and not a competitor's. Another example of that is here with the King Oscillator, which is really nifty. So you have these little, right up here, those little spins, and as that spins, it'll cause this to oscillate like that. Kind of a vibrating motion. And their blades are of course unique to the King Oscillator. And so if you use the King Oscillator, you gotta buy King Oscillator blades. So this one's already open, so let's take a look at that. And here you can see it's actually still in very nice shape, but that would correspond here. And that center part would make this blade back and forth, or it wouldn't do so with other blades. So I'm not sure how popular it was or how well it caught on. I just think it's pretty cool. I like to have it as an interesting display piece. A lot of innovation. People were trying different things. Some things worked and some things didn't. Now, as far as innovation, there's another razor that actually did quite a bit better, and if I'm not mistaken, they even at one point had a sort of merger, if not a takeover of Gillette. But this is the Valet Auto Strop. This is another one you're going to see quite a bit. And you have your strop here, which I actually conditioned this leather on purpose so it feels quite nice. And the way this works is you have your blades for this. Of course, these blades are going to be unique to the Valet Auto Strop. Your blade bank, it looks a lot like the Gillette blade bank, but it's just a little bit smaller. So you have a pretty complicated looking mechanism. I'll lower that down and you can see the blades on a wheel system. So again, you want to be very careful anytime you're handling, especially a vintage razor. You don't want to get a rusty blade on you. Alright, so you would attach one end just like you would a normal strop. We're just going to kind of play with it. Strops, and you would just move the razor up and down the strop. But just for demonstration, whoa, we're going to play with that a little bit, just kind of show you how that works. Then once you're done, flip it in the front, lift this bottom part, There we go. So you lift, lock that into place, and you're ready to go. So these razors were sort of a mix between disposable and not disposable. You could strop them. People were still used to stropping straight razors. It seemed very strange to not strop and then just throw them away. And so you could sort of extend the life of the semi-disposable blades in your Valet auto strop. This one, I'll probably mention it again during the travel razors, but this one is a little bit of a warning actually. And this is, the head in this one looks a lot like a Gillette head. It's the same size, but it's actually a German maker, and it's not poorly made or anything. It's actually about as substantial as a Gillette, but not as collectible. So this is from Worky. It's a German manufacturer. You have your little handle in here, and the handle, you just connect the two, and I'd say it's about the size of a Super Speed when it's all put together. A little smaller. But you will see these a lot with Gillette old type heads advertised as a Gillette travel razor, and that is not the case. And this one is not in all that great a shape. It would have like a little M clip thing that would hold some blades in there, and this was something I got when I bought a lot, and it was just something in there. So now this was much more deliberate. The Rush, fantastic razor maker. Honestly, probably would have given Gillette a good run for their money. Unfortunately, they did not make it through World War II. And this is probably one of their cheapest model razors. But I found it when I was antiquing and picked it up because I've always wanted to try one. And it's a pretty good razor. It's got a little Bakelite handle. So this would have been the lower end probably. This one I've never opened, and it's sealed, so I don't want to open it. But I assume the blades would look much like the Gillette blades, or possibly like this picture. I almost want to open it now, but I'm just not going to do that. So the Rush made a lot of good razors. I would say that that is one of the few non-Gillettes I still keep my eyes out for. Okay, now we're going to talk about Gem and their offerings. So you have your Gem Junior. I love this razor. It takes a normal single razor, the type of razor that you would normally see, say, in hardware stores, where the back of it is kind of folded metal and people use them to scrape off stickers and whatnot. You don't want to actually use the ones from the hardware store. You want to find ones that are actually for shaving. So you put the single edge in there, and the way it's shaped, it gives a lot of audio feedback. You know, so I really hear that when you're shaving. So I really like that. I love the Art Deco look of it, the way the handle has all these nice designs. And so this is one of my favorite razors to use. And here we go. Here's the type of blade. So a very familiar blade. You've almost surely seen these before. And carefully, although those are vintage and I probably wouldn't use them. So then you have the upgraded model, the Gem, and this one was a, yes, it was a twist open. So you twist that and it actually scoots forward too. So it doesn't just open, kind of scoots forward on it. I thought it was a really cool design. And it's actually a very nice shaver. There's some people who really, really like these and will use them as their dailies. So I like them. Not enough for it to be a daily, but I do like them. This one was very surprising to me. I really like this razor. This is the Ultralight, or Feather, I believe is what it's called. And it's just a little tiny, super light, single edge shaver. But just, I don't know if it's the way they have it put together, the angle that it's at, but it's great. I really did. I enjoyed using this, and I have used it several times. Okay. Getting towards the end here. Let's take a look at more randoms. This would be a Russian razor that I bought only because it was just so complete with the instructions and the case, and it's not even Bakelite, it's a plastic, and I don't even know how to open it really. Okay, I guess no. So you find a lot of these sort of knockoffs. This, okay, oh, it's a twist. There's a screw in there. There you go. And it does tighten. This, I don't know, man. I might use it for a joke on a wild card day or something. But I don't think I would. I wouldn't really recommend using that razor. And also these, I don't know anything about. They were part of, every once in a while when you're buying razors, you have to buy a big lot. And this was part of a lot. And it is just the cheapest metal razor I can imagine. This just kind of wobbly, very... So these very well may have come out maybe around the Great Depression, I guess. So they could have been sold for probably pennies, and that's a possibility of where these came from. And if you know, let me know. But I keep them just because, yeah, it's a collection. So this is another Russian razor. This one cracks me up. I actually have three of them. One of them in all aluminum, one all plastic, one. But there we go. This is a little shim that's in here. And what you could do is, if you want, you can break a razor in half and put it on top of the shim, and then put a full razor below it. And that would be one of the first dual blade shaving razors. I did try that one time, and one time only. It was not a good experience. All right. Next to last, this is really cool. This is actually, I met a guy online who was selling a really nice razor, and I kind of helped him out with some background on it. And we got to talking. He showed me a picture of this, and I just said, wow, that looked really cool. My brother-in-law went to Berkeley. I'm going to have to look for one of these. And he just sent it to me. So that was really nice of him. And this is really interesting. It's got a bendable plate, which a razor would go on top of. And so when you put it on, I don't know how good of a job you're going to be able to see this, but there's little X's and O's. Little X's and O's in there. And so when you turn the handle, there's a little arrow on the handle itself. There it is. And you would turn it, and the tighter you go, the more the blade bends. But it can stay tight even when it's loose. And then you tighten it down depending on the shave angle you want. So it's kind of a very early form of an adjustable, and I am really looking forward to using it. And I think this is kind of a quick one. It's a Schick, another injector style razor here. And the way these work is you have a little clip, and that drops the razor down so you can rinse it out and clean it. When you put that back together. And same thing with this. To replace the blade, you push that in there and you slide this, and that would push the old razor out and put the new blade in. And I do use this sometimes. There's still a blade in there because I actually do use it. And it's it's fun. So now the Palmco. These were pretty cool. I really like this one. This is called the Lady Palmco. I found this at an estate sale. I have the original box. And it didn't actually come with blades as far as I know. So I just added period correct blades that I thought looked good in there. But it's got room for normal blades or a cartridge. On the razor itself, you have a slant on one side, and then you remember that curved razor for underarms? It's got one of those on the other side. So, and it's interesting, you twist the bottom to open it, or the bottom half, and that releases the head. And the razor, when you put it in there, it just contorts to that shape. And I have used it, and it is aggressive. Like it, if you don't put the head on correctly, it's not going to fit. There we go. And so it's just a very unique shape to it, and it's a very interesting razor. So it's one that I like having. And there's also another Palmco that was directed more towards men. It's called the Diagonal. And here you see it's a slant on both sides. And that is a similar system where you take that out and then tighten it back down with the blade. And now that I think about it, haven't actually used this one, so I think I'm going to do that sometime soon, because that'll be fun, because that is, well, that's all of them, and that is one of the most fun parts of this collection, is that I do use them, and it's a lot of fun to use them. Now, I mentioned earlier I started over, I'm not sure if I did this one or not, the Ender's Speed Shaver. This is a pretty cool little razor. They usually came in black, which this one is also in black. So you have a little instruction book in here, which is kind of cool. It's very 1950s, little cartoon face characters. And this also had a unique blade that you pull out. You have your little catches on there. Put that in. Not quite as easy to get right, which might be one reason why they didn't do quite as well. But I do like this little dovetail, because as you're shaving, you can put your finger and just kind of get in there and manipulate it a little easier. So I thought that was a good idea that more manufacturers maybe should have also tried to do, but they did not. So I believe that concludes our tour of our non-vintage razors, and non-Gillette vintage razors, and it's been a lot of fun. So next we'll probably go over maybe straight razors and some of the early Gillette razors, or I might just add straight razors at the very end with the modern razors. In fact, I think I will do that. So keep watching, and I will see you next time. Thank you.